You're gonna have to help me because it's an Italian last name, but I always screw it up. Is it Amadeo? 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 Amadio. Damn it.
Yeah, Amadio.
Yeah, see, that sounds so much better coming out of your mouth.
On today's Good Buds episode, we talk typical Leafs November winning, John Tavares' big ass and how he scores with it, OEL, and some milestones. The Situation Room in our This Is Egregious, God of the Week, news around the league. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 42 of the Good Buds podcast, a show about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not weed, but weed is tight. My name is Joey Belfiore, and I'm here with Andrew Bascom. Andrew, what's going on?
It's going okay. You know, we're recording after the Washington game where we came back and won in overtime. But man, you know, John Tavares, just like one hand out of the grave, constantly reminding us that he is not 4 years old.
Contrary to what everyone online seems to think.
Got to come up with a plan for him. He's almost dead.
He's 34.
Yep.
So it's a contract year. That's obviously the reason why, right?
You know, that's why I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's probably it. Everyone plays better in their contract year. We know that. And it doesn't even mean that 34-year-olds don't play better in their contract year because he's going to keep playing in the league. Like, he's playing so well that...
He's a very good player.
He is a very good player. And you know what's so funny? I think it's just more frustrating for all the Toronto fans that I penciled down like $3.2 million a year. That'll be great when John Tavares makes, oh no, he's going to make $7 million, isn't he?
Yeah. He's going to make something between 5 and 7, my guess. Like, I think everyone is kidding themselves if they're thinking he's going to take any sort of like 2 to 4 type of deal.
And I just hope we didn't use up all the goodwill of like, don't worry guys, I don't have to be captain anymore. We can make Austin captain, but I am going to make you pay. You're going to pay a lot of money for me to keep coming back. It's like, damn it. Yeah. Fuck.
It's interesting. I don't know. Obviously, that's something that I don't know when they plan on doing this, if it's going to be sometime this year or if they're going to wait until the offseason. I just think there is an element of, yes, he's 34. He's from here. He's got 3 kids now. Mm-hmm. I think he obviously wants to stay, but it's not going to be like a... Like, if you lowball him, I could totally see him being like, all right, well, I'll just pack on up and go somewhere down the road or up the road. Like, I that's not out of he's still young. Like, 34 years old is not old enough where you're like, I got to sit down and retire, you know.
As two people that are 34 or older, I can only imagine that it's just starting to feel a little bit. But I agree with you. It's not like, hey, honey, we're moving to Seattle. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess. I don't know. He's
got some juice, some Snapple in his step, which is always nice to see with the OT winner, especially last night. I don't think I've ever seen John Tavares celebrate like that, like getting down on one knee. That was nice.
It felt very therapeutic. It felt very like, yeah, that's actually how he felt. He short-circuited his robot circuits a little bit to celebrate that much. But you know what? That was like a real one-handed, you know... between the comeback and then the actual scoring of the goal in overtime, that was like real, like on his back. Like, he played so well to make sure this team won.
He played really well in that breakaway overtime goal. Like, you could see him as he cuts in, he just uses his big ass to box out the defender because he's in so tight. Yep. And there's really not much you can do there when you're in that tight and you got the defender closing in on you like that. So it was just like, let me stick my ass out and I'm gonna go 5-hole here, and worked. Game over. Yeah. Nice little comeback. First overtime win of the year. First probably comeback of the year in like a true comeback fashion.
Probably. You know what? It feels like, you know, opposite day, because there were so often with this team and this structure, but with different management and different coaching, where, especially in the beginning, you would play really well and then we'd lose like 4-3 and we're like, God, we really outplayed them. And then you'd get that dreaded win-o-meter and you're like, 82% the Leafs should have won. You're like, okay, well, that makes me feel better. And then that became like a mocking symbol for us for years, where it's like, oh yeah, great, awesome, we should have won. This is the game where it's the opposite of that, where it's like, I can't believe we won. We played awful for 2 periods, just awful, and then we win in overtime. It's just I don't know how to feel because it's so different than how it usually feels.
Yeah, they were a team on a back-to-back on the road for the first little bit, and then they turned it on completely in the third, like a different team, a different group. They completely outworked Washington in the third, and I thought Berube had a nice quote where they gave up only 24 shots. Like, the defense is playing so well. They gave up 24 shots on the road to a team that, like, Washington's playing well. Washington is in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, they are playing well.
On Toronto's second night of a back-to-back, and Washington hadn't played since the Saturday before. So stuff like that, numbers like that, like, you're giving yourself, even if you are a little tired, a chance to win and a chance to get back into the game.
Yeah.
Because, however many goals they had to score that were disallowed, like, they were able to just keep coming and keep forgetting about it and being like, all right, that one's not going to count, we'll go get the next one. That one's not going to count, we'll go get the next one. But I thought that was nice.
It shouldn't have been as close as it was. That Nyes goal, I don't know, every angle I've seen, I'm like, yeah, he looks like he's under the bar. I don't really get that. But Nyes is just we talked about it last week, but he is just becoming an absolute monster. He is leading the charge so much. He's so aggressive. He's so big. It was really impressive. Wall, played well as he had to. A couple of the goals, you're like, well, okay, like, it'd be nice if you save it, but I don't really think it's on him. But the other one is you're right about the defense. That Tanev-McCabe combo is just, like, monstrous. Like, they are they're snuffing people out. Like, you want lines to disappear. It's when the minutes of Tanev and McCabe are playing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought the third Washington goal, Wall was a little out of position. Like, he comes over to go post to post, and Tanev makes a nice block. But then after the block, Wall just kind of sat there on his knees. I think he had to, like, readjust, and the puck was able to go to the right side pretty quickly and have an easy open net tap in. So I thought, like, I mean, so easy for me to say. But
still, that's the level of goaltending you're expecting, is like, it has to be excellent in some way, because Tavares is playing excellent, even in, I don't think we'll talk about the Ottawa game as much as the Washington game, but that Ottawa game sucked. It was awful. They played terrible. And that Washington, those first two periods are very similar to how they played in Ottawa, just bad. And so you're like, oh, God, this is going to be terrible. But even side of it, a terrible Ottawa game, Stolares played great. He had to make like 40-plus saves on almost 50 chances. Like, he still played really well. So Wall's just got to be – that third goal is the difference between him starting more games or not.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Stolares has played so well all season. He's top 3 in the league in both goals against average and save percentage. Probably the only person in front of him right now is Connor Hellebuck, who's playing out of his mind.
Yes.
Winnipeg's playing out of their mind.
Like, the whole
they've
team,
lost one game against us, and that's it. They're 15-1. It's insane.
It's crazy. I feel like we don't talk about it enough, like, or just in NHL general is just not talking about enough, because it would be very similar to if Toronto was 15-1, except everyone would be talking about it. But it would be like, yeah, okay, well, let's see in the playoffs. Because if I had to say that they're 15-1, do you think Winnipeg makes it out of the second round?
They're gonna get their division, right? Like,
yeah.
So you'll get the wild. Like, if they obviously win the division, they keep rolling like this. They win the division, they play the wild card in the first round. They probably get an easy matchup, get by there, and then they'll have to play second or third in their division, which is probably a tough matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably betting no, because you have a hot team coming, a sexier team, I guess.
Sure,
but like, I don't know. It's Connor Hellebuck. I know he had a terrible playoff last year, but that guy can just turn it on and win you 3 rounds, win you 4. Like,
well, yeah, hot goalie for sure. It's just, I think there's just so much ingrained, muscle tissue where you're like, I don't know, we'll see. Like, you got to do in the playoffs. But 15-1 it's impressive. It's like one of the best starts of all time. And the Winnipeg fans also showing up to be one of the best fans of all time with the Jake Ottinger backup, USA backup chant. Is just one of the funniest things
I didn't
ever.
Hear this.
What happened? So they're playing Jake Ottinger, who is also an American goalie, who will be playing for the Four Nations Cup, but Hellebuck will probably be starting. Those two goalies are facing off each other.
Nice.
The Winnipeg Jets are winning. I think it's 4-1 or something like that, and they're chanting US backup, dun, 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 US
that's
backup.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. That is such smart chanting. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, that's high IQ chanting right there.
Really,
awesome.
really impressive stuff.
Damn. But yeah, Stolares is playing great, and it'll be interesting because we've had a very busy early November, and things sort of calm down now in the end of the month where you might not need 2 goalies. Like it's not a given. There are no back-to-backs left this month, so I wonder which way Berube goes when you have, a couple days between starts where, say, you had a bona fide number 1, like a Hellebuck.
Yep.
he would get essentially all these starts to end the month. I don't think that's going to happen, but you've got 5 games left in November. It's curious with no back-to-backs which way we'll go. Like, will Stolar see 4 or will he get 3?
That's a good point. Yeah, the schedule is very odd for Toronto coming up. I don't know if anyone... Take your time. Look at it right now. There's like a period where we have 1 game in like 5 or 6 days. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. And that's good considering we are going to be talking about some injuries that we're having in a little bit here. It's just that, like, maybe some time off is actually a good thing. But you don't want anyone to slow down, especially people like Anthony Stolar who are playing so well right now.
Yeah. OEL gets his 1,000th game in.
Yeah.
Did you like the logo that everyone was wearing, the hat?
That's cute. I like that. I like that they do that, and he's signing them and giving them to the players and stuff. And OEL is playing interesting hockey right now because he is not the player that I thought he was. And it's a little bit of the Charles Barkley, I'm not familiar with your game kind of thing, because he is so much more tougher than I thought he was. And he's just a different player. So, and the guys seem to really, really love him. Like, those pictures afterwards in the locker room are really, really cute with all their arms around each other and the signed hats and stuff. And I'm sure it helps that it came back on a big comeback and a big win too. But 1,000 games, pretty cool.
Yeah, he said he's gonna take the whole team to dinner, which is
nice.
Fun.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, in Washington.
I wonder what that bill gets up to. Like, what do you think?
I think we're talking 5 figures.
It's just players.
Yeah.
Just players, so you're, 23, 24 guys? I guess the healthies are coming too, so, maybe 25, 26 guys.
Yeah. I imagine because they're hockey players, they don't have a sense of imagination, so it's a steakhouse. And steakhouses have a very good job of extracting as much money out of you as possible. You're like, stewed spinach. You're like, that's $18 here. You're like, oh, okay, interesting. I bet you it does get to 5 figures. It just depends on alcohol, pretty much, if they drink or not. And I just don't know if this team is a big drinking team.
I think they even said in the thing there's going to be some nice wine selection going around.
There we
go.
So
I think that will drive the price up.
Do you think Tavares does the captain thing? We're like, wine list over here, thanks. Okay, because I know he's a big wine guy.
It's just tremendous. We'll go with a full-bodied red. I thought the red really works hard. Comes in there, some nice tannins, really tremendous. Or we can do something light.
No, I don't know. I think
that's so good, Joey.
I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson will choose the wine on his night if he's paying. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But in general, I'd be curious as to who takes the reins? Who takes control?
Yeah.
Be someone old for sure. Ryan Reeves probably seems like the guy to be like, I'm doing this, and you're like, fuck, Ryan ordered the worst wine.
Yeah. More Riesling. We're eating steak. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And 2 Budweiser. What the hell? Yeah. I find those dynamics to be very interesting. Swedish people, not afraid of drinking either, so I'm probably having a good time. Dressed impeccably too, just dressed beautifully.
Of course.
But yeah, that's it's on a game where it means so much. You only play 1,000 games. Only so many players make that to get a comeback win for that. It's got to be make that celebration even much more fun.
Yeah, a nice little goal there at the end by Mitchie.
Yep.
So crazy what a good power play can do. Face-off win. What a face-off win can do. And he literally, the entire Washington team came over to the side as soon as Riley had the puck. The entire Washington team left Mitch Marner all alone because Mitch Marner is not known to shoot.
Exactly.
And then what happens? He takes a beautiful clapper that goes far side top corner.
Yep. Just perfect.
I thought was interesting because, at first when I saw the goal in real time, I was like, oh, okay, that's just one on the left side of the net because the goalie didn't get over quick enough. And then when you see the angles in the instant replay, no, it went far side top corner, which is just a wild place to put it.
Yeah. That's a lot of faith in the shot, too. I thought it hit the goalie originally, too, it went off of him. But no, it's just a very clean shot. And you're right. It's like a Morgan Riley thing, too, where it's like, he's not going to shoot. Just leave him, give him some space. Because we know he's going to, even when he rears back, he's going to probably be, it's a slap pass into the slot or something like that. But yeah, it's one of those times that's a nice reminder for Mitch Marner when, you're paying him $11+ million and Austin Matthews is out. It's like, this is your time, man. Let's go. This is your time. And I will say, that Ottawa game was just so embarrassing that you're like, oh God, this is not a good sign. But for him to score that goal there, that's exactly what you pay him to do. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they're 4-1 without Austin, which is a big number.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. You need players to step up, especially when we had an easier looking schedule the past little bit, like, Montreal, Detroit. I know we lose to Ottawa, but these are all winnable games. Washington, that's a winnable game. So to go 4-1 is really nice, especially kicking off with that 4-0 Boston one we talked about last time.
Yeah, that we talked about last time. So I'm only half serious here, but the power play has been one of the biggest issues since the start of the season. Austin Matthews goes out, and it is now awakened. It is now scoring at a very high clip, and it looks good and it looks dangerous, which is one of the biggest things that I would have even settled and compromised with just looking good and looking dangerous, even if they weren't scoring goals, because that was so different than what it was previously. Do you put Matthews on the second power play? Like, do you keep this going? I'm only half serious here, but if it's going so well, do you go like, well, I don't want to mess with it too much?
I mean, the thing, I guess the question is how long is he going to be out for?
Well, that is
because if he's out for a much longer time, and the power play kind of levels out a little bit, then obviously he goes back to power play 1.
Right. Yes.
I don't see a world where he wouldn't be on power play 1. I just don't think it's the greatest goal scorer in the world who maybe didn't look like himself for a month because he was nursing an injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see a world where when he's finally healthy and back in the lineup, he's not on power play 1. I just would like to see them move him around. Like, sometimes he just kind of stays in that one spot, just waiting for the one-timer. And I'm like, all right, we get him on the right side is nice, but, like, him on the left side also, like, he played his first couple of years on the left side of the power play, and, like, that wrist shot is just so dangerous. So I just think moving him around gives us different looks. And I like to see that rather than when it goes stale and they just kind of do the same fucking thing
every time
over and over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It looks dynamic and it's really exciting. And we talked about with the Boston one because 3 of the 4 goals were on the power play, and it really hasn't slowed down either. There's been power play goals, outside of the Ottawa game in every game. So that's really exciting. Oh, no, it was in Washington, too. Yeah, the Marner one was actually a power play, not the empty net, because they drew a penalty. So, that's really exciting. I know it's like clickbaity to be like, ooh, do they move Matthews to the power play, too? But it's only bearing the headline that the power play is actually good now, which is good.
Yeah, which is nice. I'm breathing. I'm breathing again. I do want to talk about something in the Washington game, but it is my egregious, so this is egregious.
This is egregious! This is egregious!
As Nation is no stranger to exaggeration or overreaction. We all do it. We're Leaf fans. We exaggerate. And
yes, we do.
This segment is to highlight how insane we all are. No, I just think the Situation Room is ridiculous. Like, there were 3 disallowed goals last night, 2 for Toronto, 1 for Washington. I thought all of them should have counted.
Yeah.
So if my bias, the Washington one should have counted too. I guess he nudged Joe Wall's arm, his blocker. Did not see anything on that one where it's like, how can you take that goal back? The Lorentz one, didn't know the rule was you can't knee the puck. Is that a rule?
I don't know.
Berube didn't know. He was like, I don't get it.
Like, the kicking motion goes how far? What, to your hip? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know. Yeah.
The Nyes one, that's just... The Nyes one is the only one that's interesting because I do think it was below the bar, but that was called no goal, correct?
Yes.
On the ice.
On the ice, yes.
I understand there's not enough evidence to overturn that, even though I thought, if it's called a goal on the ice, that probably stands, just based on you can't overturn it. The Lawrence one was so weird. I've never seen, like, it went off his thigh.
I know.
So I don't understand. Kicking motion.
I don't want to take over your this is egregious, but I've always felt that they should just allow you to kick the puck in. Like,
why not?
I think I don't understand why it would take away all this nonsense of like, was it a kicking motion? Who the fuck cares? Just put it in the net. Like, I don't. I've never understood that.
Yeah, like any part of the body makes sense other than like you punching or throwing the puck in the net.
Or closing it and throwing it in. Yeah, that would change the sport entirely. I think. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but like if you want to like use your ass, use your head.
Yeah, Mitch Marner's been headbutting so many pucks recently. Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
What is going on with that? I'm surprised Berube hasn't grabbed him by the cuff yet and been like, knock that shit off. You have a stick in your hand. Yeah.
But, even the Washington one, I thought all of those should have counted. So it just, here we go again. Because we're going to see this time and time again with goaltender interference or with certain things that we're not going to understand and we're not going to get a true explanation from the league.
No.
And playoffs are going to come, and there's going to be some goals where this happens, and they get called back, or they get allowed, or vice versa. Like, and we're just going to be left like, as a hockey fan, I don't understand the rule, and I don't think people on the bench understand the rule, and I don't think the coaches understand the rule. So
Yeah.
just Toronto situation room, like, get your shit together, please.
Oh, I know, which used to be so good. That was sarcastic, I promise you. Is that the Nyes goal too? Is that, like, I understand the NFL is the NFL and the NBA is the NBA, and they have more money than the NHL does, and I get that. But when they tried to show the Nyes highlight, it was like they were going back to like 1994, and they're like, we're trying to get the right frame, and it's like breaking up, and it looks so slow, and you're like, how is there only 2 angles at this? Like, this is a televised game by 3 different broadcasters. Like, it's just, I don't understand that at all. Well, you know what? I'll get into my this is egregious now then too, and I just want to talk about in general the biggest issue, and one that some saw coming, but I never really believed was going to be the biggest issue this team was going to have this year was 5-on-5 scoring. And I bring this up because we were the second best 5-on-5 scoring team last year in the league. And this year we are not. It is bad. And it's so much so that, I understand Austin Matthews is out of the lineup, but in the Ottawa game, it really highlighted the fact that we were just not, there was no, and we've been talking about how bad the power play is too. So now 5-on-5 and the power play, yikes. It's just there was no threat. We were only averaging a 0.7 expected goals on 5-on-5. That's the 3rd lowest for any NHL team in a game this year. This is the same team that was second in the league last year. And just all these reoccurring issues that we've had in the past of like the bottom of the lineup not being able to score. Well, the bottom 6 of the lineup, the majority of those players have not scored a goal this year. We're talking about Holmberg, Reeves, Kampf, Domi. We'll talk about that in a bit. But like, it's a scary thing because 12 of the 31 goals on 5-on-5 are coming from 2 players, and it's Nyes and Nylander. I understand Matthews is out, but just this level of separation has always bit us in the ass in the past, and it seems to have gotten worse, which is kind of scary.
That is scary. That's really scary.
Yeah.
Because when things dry up at the top, which they have tended to do come April,
yes,
you need some fruits coming through at the bottom of the lineup. I don't understand. That's something that they're probably going to have to address at the trade deadline. Like everyone says, we're going to have to target a center, like a third line center, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Brock Nelson seems to be the name everyone's talking about.
Yeah, everyone likes Brock Nelson from the Islanders. Yeah,
I like him too. Are the Islanders going to sell? I don't think they're going to sell Brock Nelson if they're hanging around a playoff spot.
Yeah, and if so, not for a while. They still are very much in it right now. This is too early for teams to be giving up.
We'll see.
There are just 2 very large issues I have with this in general, and we can just talk about the lineup in general here. Is that the 4th line doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It still doesn't. Playing Kampf and Reeves together doesn't really make a lot of sense. Reeves, I don't know. This is just a side point, but I guess Reeves is not allowed to fight anymore, or doesn't want to, or isn't that the thing that he does? Wouldn't you say that's his like greatest skill? And he's not dropped the gloves yet this year. And Pontus Holmberg, I think, is unfortunately this isn't working. It's as much as his fault as the position he's in, and the position he's in is not for him. And we need to figure that out quickly because that is just not working out.
Yeah, I'm kind of really hoping this Connor Dewar train gets going soon, because I'd like to see Reeves come out of the lineup. I think more often than he has been. But Max Domi, has gone 13 straight games without a point. He hasn't scored a goal yet, like you just said.
Yep.
And since Austin Matthews has been out, which is now 5 games, Max Domi has been centering the first line and still doesn't have a point. What the F?
Yeah, what the F? Because the other side of this is, at least when you say something about David Kampf or, I don't know, whatever, I'm not even going to say Reeves and stuff like that, but you go like, well, he's a good defensive player and he plays on the penalty kill. Domi is a god-awful defensive player. And if he's not scoring goals or creating chances, he is a net negative into the game. Like, he is actually holding the team back. And he is getting primetime minutes with really good players. This is worrisome. I understand you love the flexibility and the positional flexibility. You can move him up and down the lineup. You can play him at center. You can play him at wing. That's all great. But when he's in, he's got to play well, and he is not. And on top of that, taking bad penalties. So you really not a lot of positives right now.
Yeah, he's snake bitten, I think, with scoring. Like
Sure.
he has had those chances. Breakaway last night.
Yeah.
But he's a production guy. He dishes it like crazy. We have seen him do that. The chemistry he had with Austin last year, he can rack up assists. He doesn't have a single point in 13 games. How many games we played? 16?
Yeah,
18. We played 18 games.
18 games. There you go.
He hasn't had a point in 13. That's it's unacceptable, truly, from your current first line center.
It's actually hard to believe. It's hard to get your head around that you weren't a secondary assist on somebody else's great play. How is that possible?
Yeah, secondary assists, those come kind of often for people who get as much ice time as a first line player does. I don't understand it at all.
Goalies get them. How? Come
Yeah.
on. What is happening? Yeah, the Domi thing is if there weren't so many other issues in the lineup, and yes, we're playing well. We came off of a 3-in-1 week. Things are going okay. But there are a few issues in this lineup that you want to give some people a break, and luckily we do have some players coming in and out. But Max Domi does feel like a player that if we didn't have such issues with center, you'd be like, hey, do you want to take a game and just figure some stuff out? Because it is noticeably bad. And that breakaway, which was great, he cut off a pass. He had 5 feet behind him. There was not a hope he was going to score that goal. That goalie read him the whole way. Just watching him and just slid with him, and the easiest save in the world. And you're like, wow, that was never going in. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've lost another Max for probably a long time. I mean,
yeah.
Foreseeable future.
That was scary. Max Pacioretty got injured in practice, seemingly, because even the beat reporters went immediately got a quote from people going oh, it's gonna be a while. And you're like, oh, okay.
But wasn't it in the game? He hurt himself in the game and then went off to the bench, and then that was the play where I thought, he fucked up his knee in some sort of way. It was non-contact. He just kind of fell awkwardly. Right.
But then I'm kind of confused by this, and this is what sucks about hockey and just them being very vague about injuries. He seemed to be in pads the next practice, and then he was off the ice, and they're like, yeah, that this isn't good. This is going to take a while. So it was enough that they wanted to try it out, and then they decided it was really bad.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's exactly the thing we predicted a couple weeks ago, which is really sad because you're like, oh, this old player who's very injured all the time is playing really well and is a huge catalyst for our offense. And then we're like, oh, crap, he's out. Oh, crap, our offense sucks. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Yeah.
Hopefully not too long, but obviously we know with hockey is no one says anything. They say upper or lower body. That's all you get.
Well, the best player, one of the best players in the league and the best player in the leagues is injured, and we have no idea why or how. So.
Yeah, true.
Awesome.
We know it's upper body.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
we'll
all
take
we
a word
know.
for that. Yeah.
We got big one coming up. Edmonton on Saturday. That'll
big
be nice. Vegas. The last 5 games. You know what? Okay. I want to do God of the Week because I want to talk about kind of the schedule here.
Obviously, we're looked upon as, kind of gods here, to be honest.
All right. God of the Week.
Yep.
Segment that we're doing this year, basically saying who's our god. Doesn't have to be a player because mine this time is a month.
Whoa,
the month of November. So I guess it's the god of the month because the god of the week being a month doesn't really make any fucking sense. But all right, the Leafs go Super Saiyan in November. They always have. They always will. They have got 9 of the 14 possible points this month. They always tend to go kind of 500, struggle in October, the world's on fire, and then they go on a nice little run in November. I just want to point out the last few Novembers in the Austin Matthews era, all right?
Okay.
So in 2016, we went 8-5-1. In 2017, we went 10-4-1. In 2018, 10-4. In 2019, 7-6-1. So that's our worst November ever in the Austin Matthews era was 2019, and we were still over 500. In 2020, we didn't play in November because of COVID. In 2021, 12-2. In 2022, 11-1-3. Last year, 7-3-2, and so far we're 4-2-1. So the interesting thing about this is we've got 5 really tough games coming up. The end of November is Edmonton, Vegas, Utah, Florida, Tampa Bay.
Wow.
What do you think is an acceptable amount of points out of 10 possible points?
Oh, God. Do you want to go with 5, 6, 5? Like, it would suck. Like, that would hurt, and you'd be like, oh, we're not playing well or whatever. But these are really good teams, and if you break even with that, I think you'll still look at the whole of November and be like, oh, that was a good month because we, beat up on bad teams.
Yeah, I think,
what do you think?
I would disagree and say I want to see 7 at least.
7,
solely because we are a good team, and we should be able to, it's not like any of these teams that we can't beat. We play Edmonton well. We play Florida and Tampa Bay well. Who knows what Utah's like. We always play Vegas well. So I think if you're looking at 3 wins and an overtime point, you get 7 points. Like that, I would be super thrilled about that. So minimum 7 points. Get those November juices going. Maybe get 8, maybe get 9, maybe 10. Maybe 10.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, what a weird stretch of scheduling we're on. Of just, I know they're probably not like, oh, we think Montreal and Ottawa are going to be bad, so we're going to do this back to back. But like that, it is odd that then immediately we go down and do the Florida trip, and Florida's good, and Vegas and stuff. Man, this is good, and I'm excited for this Edmonton game. So, especially playing Stuart Skinner, who I don't know if you saw the replay from last night, but he is trying to get side to side on a 2-on-1, and it's like I was in net. Like he's like, no, I'm not gonna make it, and they just score by 2 feet, like not even close. And you're like, I can't believe he's a starting goaltender for one of the better teams in the league. Okay, my God of the week. We've already talked about it. It's OEL. The 1,000 games is very impressive. He is a little lost in the lineup because we are trying to find who to play with Riley, and Yanni Hakanpää, who we didn't talk about, is back in the lineup now and played his first game in. When was his first game? Washington? No, it was before that. But it was
last night.
It was last night. Okay, yeah, I was trying to figure it out. He's playing with Riley. We're trying to figure out where to put OEL. But the one part I really wanted to highlight that I thought was really nice is that while you're trying to figure out how you're playing, and if you don't think you're playing your best and you're trying to figure out where you're playing in the lineup, when and you're gonna have to help me because it's an Italian last name, but I always screw it up. Is it Amadio? Amadio. Damn it.
Yeah, Amadio.
Yeah, see, that sounds so much better coming out of your mouth. When he took a little run at Stellaris and stuck his knee out on a play, OEL is right behind him and just slams his head to the ice. And it is one of those ones where you're like, whoa! And he just like fathered him, where he just put his head down, hand on his head, and he's reaching up trying to punch him and stuff. And he's like, no, just stay down. And it is one of those things that, coming from a skilled player, was the thing that I know a lot of people in Toronto have always wanted. And I think you and I have resigned ourselves to saying, like, that is not how most of our players play, and that is okay. We're not going to try and change them. But then all of a sudden you have a player who's played 1,000 games in the league and is talented, he's a skilled player, and has no problem just putting his hands on somebody and be like, do not touch him like that ever again. It was very impressive and is a very nice change of pace for this team. So, OEL, you're my God of the week.
OEL is like my God of the year so far.
He's awesome.
Such a nice ad.
Yep.
Suck it, Myrtle.
yeah. Didn't like that one.
I know James Myrtle did not like that signing when that happened. Probably Jonas Siegel probably didn't either.
Oh, probably. He doesn't like.
They don't like anything.
Yeah.
They don't like anything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there we go.
You want to do the numbers game?
Let's do the numbers game. A new version of the same game from last year where I pick a number between 1 and 99, and Joey has to come up with 2 Leafs that have worn that number. Joey cannot name a player who is currently on the roster, and we're going to choose a player that more than one player has worn that number until we run out of numbers, exactly. For each player Joey cannot name per number, he will donate $5 to the You Can Play Foundation, a foundation working to ensure the safety and inclusion for all that participate in sports. Joey, are you ready?
Ready.
So just in case people don't know, we have used 2, 11, 22, 21, and 18. That's going to be, I'm going to start doing that less and less because that's a lot of numbers. I have chosen something a little bit more fun. We're going to go higher this time, and I'm going to tell you 4 players have ever worn this number.
Oh,
now,
shit.
Yeah, right? You think that's a little scary.
So I got to get 2 of 4, yeah.
Yes, but there is a little trick to it, and I wonder if you're going to catch on to it. So it's not as hard as you might think. The number is 71.
Shit.
Okay. Now,
God, all I'm thinking is of Evgeny Malkin.
I'm not going to give you too much here, but there are 2 paths on how to figure this out, and I'm very curious if you figure one out.
Fuck me.
Yep. It does feel like a random number. Like, it feels odd. It's, it's not a duplicate.
Yeah, and then, like, all my mind is thinking right now is Evgeny Malkin.
Actually, I think 3 players have worn this. I'll explain why afterwards.
71.
71.
Or 73. It's not him. Shit.
There's only
All
one
right.
player that's ever worn 70, and no players that have ever worn 69. That's not fun. They should try that. That's fun.
Oh my god, I think I'm gonna run out of time here because like I got nothing coming to me right now.
You're gonna be mad at yourself.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, in general.
Okay, so why don't we do this? I'm gonna
Yep.
donate. I'm gonna take the loss.
Okay.
But taking the loss, for both losses, I couldn't even name a single fucking player. So I will donate $10 for these 2. But give me a clue.
71. If you flipped it, is
Wendell. Oh, David Clarkson, for fuck's sake.
there we
That
go.
Loser. God damn it. God damn it.
So that's one of the 3, and I was wondering if you're going to get him. But the other one is, I can tell you, this player from 1991 to 1994, but more famous for being a Buffalo Sabre, wore it, and his name is Mike Foligno.
Ah, Nick's dad had like that one goal.
Yeah, the one
goal where he like danced.
Yeah, he
around
danced
on his feet.
And so that means also Nick Foligno also wore the number 71 as well. Yes. So I was wondering if you knew Nick Foligno, I was wondering if you're going to be like, "Oh, Mike Foligno,"
Yeah. So the David Clarkson one, I think I've tried to black out David Clarkson as a leak in my memory because that was just horrible. Yeah. That cover.
Toronto Sun article. Yeah.
That
Cover.
was so bad. And honestly, the Nick Foligno experiment was terrible.
Terrible.
It was terrible. So I think I've blacked both those memories out. But yeah, couldn't get those. Fudge.
I don't blame you. It's a little bit of a trick on that one, but yeah, 71. There you go. The reason why I use a hockey reference page, and they have a player written down twice called Nikita Grabenkin, but he's written at 2.
But he's currently on the roster.
Yeah, and it also has 2025 written next to it. And I'm like, well, so they're predicting that, or I don't even know. So yeah, so he's also worn 71 as well. There you go.
Fuck.
I know. Can't get them all. You've been doing so well so far this year.
My first misses, but oh well, it happens. All right, some news and other things. We had the Hall of Fame game, and it was a pretty stacked class. But the eligibility for next year is even more so stacked. So I want to ask you. Obviously, Chara, Duncan Keith, Carey Price, Joe Thornton are getting in right away. I think Getzlav should be getting in right away too.
Yep.
Is Dustin Brown a Hall of Famer?
So I saw this on the lineup, and my immediate thing is like, well, no, but he's got way better stats than you think he does. He has a couple of cups, and I just here's my argument here. So of first timers, no, because I think all those first timers are getting in.
Yeah, I agree.
That's going to be tough. But now you start putting them in the secondary pool of players that might make it outside of their first eligibility. If Dustin Brown gets in before Alex McGillney, I swear to God, I feel like this has to be political at this point, right?
So they were saying in the article on the Score that it's an honorable mention. He's not going to get in. He's not a Hall of Famer. But I think if you captained 2 teams to a Stanley Cup, you're in. Like, you are a 2-time Stanley Cup champion as a captain. That's I think, a big deal. And like that, for me, I can forget a lot of your numbers because how many captains can say they are multiple cup winners with the C on their chest?
That's a very good point. No, not many. That's a very good point. I just, not to make this weird minutia thing, but like it kind of depends on what you feel about the Hall of Fame. It's a museum that explains hockey to people, right? Like if you went in, it would explain the history of hockey. Is Dustin Brown part of the history of hockey? Yeah, because he was the captain of 2 championship teams, LA and stuff. But I just also, you didn't go like, holy shit, Dustin Brown's coming into town. We got to go see Dustin Brown.
For sure. I agree, and I don't think he's a first couple years. I think he should get in later on.
Right.
Maybe 5-10 years down the road. But I think it would be so hard to overlook someone who won the cup twice as a captain because that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think the comparable one is like an Eli Manning getting into the Football Hall of Fame.
I was thinking that too. Which he should.
He should. a quarterback to win 2 Super Bowls is impressive, even though he was not one of the better quarterbacks of his generation. Yeah. It's still, at the end of the day.
If we're constantly measuring people by winning and we constantly compare these athletes by how many championships they have, if we're using winning as a measuring stick, then how can you discount the ultimate prize twice, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, it's going to be a hard one to dispute, especially with when they all get in the room and stuff together. So, what a year though. Wow, Char, Keith, Price,
year.
Thornton, and
Stacked
Getzlaff.
year.
Wow.
Question for you. Okay,
Yeah.
So no Matthews so far for a long time. His chances of winning the Rocket are probably pretty slim right now. Actually, that's probably a good bet to make, depending on when he gets healthy. Hammer him winning the Rocket. But regardless,
that's good call.
Right now, it's wide open. It's as wide open as I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
In recent memory. So my question for you is, who do you think at this point in time is the favorite to win the Rocket? You've got leading the league at 12 goals, Draisaitl, Caulfield, Nylander, Rantanen, Reinhart, and then right behind them at 11 goals, Connor, Thompson, and Kucherov. Who would be your pick right now?
It's a boring pick, but I think it's Draisaitl. That team scores a lot of goals, and he's on the ice with the best player in the league a lot of the time. And so it's going to be a hard thing to overcome because they just put the puck in the net so much, and there's so much opportunity. If you wanted to go, like, Reinhart has had years in the past where he's come very close. So, like, that would also... Yeah, last year. But, and the weird part, too, is a large percentage of his are coming from the power play. So you wonder if there is a variance in that when you're relying so much on one element of the game. But it's Draisaitl. What's your pick?
If I were to put a bet down, I would put a bet down on Kyle Connor.
Whoa!
Just because I think out of all those players, he's the most lethal. From strictly shooting the puck and scoring goals, he's the most lethal. Winnipeg is rolling this year.
Yeah.
They look good. They're feeling good. They're playing well. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I would go with Kyle Connor as my bet if I was betting, which I probably will later.
Yeah, which we probably will. Yeah, it's not like we have a vote or something like that. I imagine you could still get pretty good odds on him. Considering all these big names that are in there and Winnipeg just being a smaller market, like Kucherov is definitely going to get ones. I just don't see the Nylander thing. Like, I think Nylander scored a lot of goals, but just the way that they use him and the opportunities they put him in, especially when Matthews comes back, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I'm just not going to hope Cole Caulfield does it. So.
Oh, no, absolutely not. little boy.
That's all I got. Same with Kucherov.
That's my expert analysis on this one. No.
Can't stand him. That's all I kind of want to talk about. NHL news. You got anything else, or?
No. The Winnipeg was the only other big one I wanted to talk about. We kind of talked about off top. It's just unbelievable, and I just wonder if like next week we're talking like they're 18-1. It's like what the hell?
It's kind of cool to see it go like this because they're not in our conference. So like as far as they want to go, cool. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice ride.
And we have the one loss. That's great. So
exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today. If you've made it this far, we appreciate the hell out of all you good buds. Thank you so much for listening, and go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.
When you're back down, in Mexico, I hope you feel better like you wanted to then. I know we haven't talked.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.